My name is Melissa Goffin, and I'm running for Councillor of the Red Hill Ward here on the Mornington Peninsula. The Green Wedge was originally preserved by our state government to be Melbourne's food bowl. And because of that, we've got a lot of really amazing agricultural things happening down here and a lot of really wonderful farmers and wonderful food networks. We also know that the Green Wedge is home to many unique natural habitats and native flora and fauna that are in need of our protection. So there's currently a state review taking place. It's our state ag review, and it's looking at the Green Wedge and updating the Green Wedge legislation, which is 30 years old now. What we need is a really strong Green Wedge legislation and policy scheme that is current and that we're advocating really strongly to have a voice in that process. These next few months, and indeed these next couple of years, are going to be focused on getting us through COVID and making sure that our community is thriving once again. We have a restaurant in Red Hill, and we know the devastation that's happened to our businesses, to many businesses on the Mornington Peninsula. And it's not just the survival of these businesses, but it's all of the people that we employ and that others employ. They are our local families. They are people in our communities suffering at the moment for fear of losing their jobs or because they perhaps already have. What we need from our Shire is we need clear, concise, extensive communications regarding how they're going to support us through this. There's a lot that can be done that's happening in other local communities, in other local government areas that are really focused on what can we do to help the people in our community. I'm also keen to support a sustainable business community. So there's a lot of really wonderful businesses down here on the peninsula that are doing a lot of really wonderful things in the areas of environmental sustainability and other types of ethics. What I would love is for our Shire to be reaching out to these communities and to develop partnerships with those groups, and to see how we can all be working together for the betterment of our communities, for our futures, for our environment, and for all of the people that work here. One of the other things I want to do is I want to connect us better. I want to make sure that when we're on our phones, we're on our computers, we're at home watching Netflix, which there's been a bit of during the pandemic, that we don't have dropouts. You know, it's 2020, and to have places within our peninsula that are still unable to get consistent connections is just inexcusable. So it's really important to me, not just for entertainment, but for safety's sake, that we all have a consistent network available to us. I also think that we need to be connected through better roads and pathways. Thinking about our families, thinking about our elderly, we need paths through our communities between key areas. So from our shops to our parks, from our schools to the playgrounds, we should have pathways that exist, that are safe, that when it rains, they're not submerged, that aren't full of potholes, that aren't dangerous, that aren't seeing people walk along busy roads and being unsafe. So I'm keen to invest across our Red Hill Ward in better paths for our communities. There are $50 million allocated to state projects and local government projects for roads and parks. I don't think that we're getting enough of that share. I think that there's a lot more that could be coming from state government grants to our local communities to invest in our local parks. Of course, our roads as well. But I'm keen to have those conversations, to build those relationships with our state ministers and see that the Red Hill Ward in particular, which I think has long been forgotten, gets a good chunk of that money coming down here, and we can build better infrastructure for our families. We need things like spending and resources going to projects for kids. So our sporting clubs, our arts communities, our dance programs, our bike parks, our skate parks, activities that kids can get involved in across the ages, from little to teens to young adults, so that they feel connected and engaged with their community, so that they're out in our communities being active, that they're able to move across our community. So speaking about connection, investing in and ensuring that we get reasonable local public transport options. We are so isolated here in the Red Hill Ward. There are no buses in certain places that come out to our communities. Our young people need to rely on their parents to get to and from work most often. And it simply doesn't allow them the independence and the employment opportunities that should be available to them. It is reasonable and entirely reasonable for us to expect that we have a local public transport system that supports our community. I want to support everybody in our community. I want to make sure that it's not a minority of voices that are getting heard at our council, but all of us. So there's a lot of different ways that I see that happening, but what I want to talk about is I want to talk about the vulnerable within our communities, the people that, for whatever reason, are struggling from mental health issues, drug addiction, family violence, homelessness. We don't like to believe that those are issues in our communities, but they are. We know they are. There's more that our Shire can be doing to support these individuals. There are local services that exist for them, but they need more funding and they need more housing options. They need somebody within the council that's working for them and making sure that their voices and their needs are met. We need recycling programs that work. And then we really need to be going to the source. So there's a lot of good work being done around moving to zero waste and a plastic-free peninsula. We need to harness this work and give not just writing to it and not just lip service, but actually investments in dollars and resources to get these programs invested in and implemented across our peninsula. There's been a loss of trust in our Shire from many within our community who don't feel that the Shire is representing their views. What starts this change is a place of genuine desire to make it, to a return to trust through increased honesty, integrity, transparency, and accountability. It starts with our councillors. We need to understand and we need to trust that they're representing all of our interests. I'd like to have a councillor code of conduct that really outlines for us what good advocacy and responsible advocacy looks like in our community. We need a review of Shire spending. There's line items like consultants, where we spent $8 million last year. I don't know about you, but I don't know what we're spending $8 million on consultants for. I would love to see that $8 million building the pathways in our community or creating a new local arts center for local artists to showcase work and for our local kids to get involved in. I also think that what is really important is that we improve consultation. The Shire have identified consultation as an issue for them. They've just released a new consultation policy where they seek to improve consultation with us. Well, that starts with not just the piece of paper, but really getting out into our communities and making sure that there are groups, that there are entities, that there are individuals that are going to weigh into things. Now, we know that many of us are busy. We're not going onto the Shire websites to fill in the have your says. What we need is for them to come to us, to come into our community and ask the questions, to come to our schools and our halls and set up a meeting about proposals, find out on a regular basis what we want and what we want them to invest in. I have a Facebook page, as I mentioned. I intend to keep that up. I intend to be posting there every week of the things that we're working on. I hope that the Shire will continue to put all of the Shire meetings and all of the council meetings on Zoom. They are amazing for telling us what's really going on in our Shire and on our council. I'll be telling you what I'm doing in that space to advocate for you. And I'll be looking for you to jump into those, to watch me, to watch all of us, and give me feedback on whether or not I'm doing a good job for you. We need to get groups within the Shire, industry groups, community groups that include not just Shire officers and not just the really strong voices within particular advocacy organizations, but regular sort of community members to be part of local consultative groups. So when the Shire has got an initiative in a particular area, they're meeting with these groups on a regular basis and they're getting their feedback into not just the programs that they're looking to support, but in the work that they're doing. We need to be able to have a say into how things are working. So I'm really excited about the opportunities for better governance coming from our Shire. So that's it for me. Thank you so much if you've managed to make it to the end of this video. I couldn't be more grateful for your time. I really hope that you've learned a bit more about me and my priorities. Please, of course, jump on, as I've said, to my Facebook page or Instagram to learn more about me and what I'm about. And I would love to hear from you. So please do send me a message via that space or an email at hello@melissagoffin.com.au. You should receive ballots between the 6th and 8th of October, and they run through the 23rd of October. So you need to get them postmarked by that date. This election really matters, and the voices that you have on your council will represent you and what you want for your community. So please do get out, have conversations with people in your area, let them know what you think about who's running, and encourage them to look into it themselves. Thank you so much, and I hope you're well. I'll speak to you soon.